Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Osmania Long Note Tournament 4th edition. We are rolling right along this round of 64 weekend with some more high-flying action. As always, my name is Sparky, and I am joined in the commentary booth this time around by none other than Snow. How's it going, man?
Hello. It is going quite well. I'm pretty excited to see this match. I'm shocked by the scores from our Seed 64. I was looking at it right before and discussing as well, but holy, they are crazy.
Yeah, those are some pretty insane stats to take a look at, but then you look on the other side and who they're playing up against, and it's like, oh, right, literally washed everybody else out of the water. #1 on literally every single map. Yeah. This is gonna be a bit of an uphill battle for Iran over here, but I mean, on any given day, that's always the way you gotta look at it. It's just, you never know. You just catching up on a bad day. I mean, sure, he's just fresh off the back of putting the US on their back in the World Cup in a tiebreaker situation, and then they're having to play probably what are not even like qualified as warm-ups in their hemisphere of of what they know how to play. No biggie.
Yeah, I mean, hey, like you said, I mean, potentially fatigue can be rolling in for Nep. Who knows?
Something, but I mean, you never know. I never like to count out a player before the match has even started, and especially on a pool like this where the overall difficulty is scaled down a couple of notches in comparison to the qualifiers, considering the fact that the qualifiers, it always feels like in this tournament in particular, the margin for error is so small that even making it into this bracket is a feat in and of itself. And we've already seen some really tight matchups in other. I mean, the first match of this tournament, it was literally an accuracy battle the entire time.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, we're at a state where the difficulty has wound down by a decent amount, especially just because we're in a round of 64 situation. They definitely have to cater to a lot of different skill sets, a lot of different rounds. So obviously these qualifiers aren't a huge indication, at least for this early round, but it's obviously possible to make a prediction, and a well-informed prediction at that, with some of the stats, especially within the earlier stages.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're starting to see the protects and bans come on through. It looks like Iran won the roll and decided to protect first. Gonna protect wildcard 1. Nep gonna respond with tech 2, ban out tech 3, surprisingly enough, and Iran closes it out with density 2 as the ban, and gonna go for density 3 as the pick here to start things off.
I think that wildcard 1 protect makes sense, especially just given that they performed really well on that one compared to a lot of these other ones. It makes sense, although density 3 as the first pick is a bit interesting to see.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe I mean, density always feels like a nice little comfort pick for a lot of players because of the fact that you're basically. I feel like it's cliche to say, but you get to treat a lot of these faster patterns kind of like jump stream. You can kind of use some of the accuracy to play it the way you normally would a jump stream style pick, but in a tournament like this, you really don't have the luxury of being able to shave any accuracy off. So it'll be interesting to see how Iran performs on this to start this match off.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting, especially with a pick like this one, which doesn't play like that like usual density where it's very autopilotable.
Mm-hmm.
I made this connection in the previous match, but I think it plays kind of familiar to round of 16 from the last tournament, Decoded Carnosaurus, which is mapped by the same person as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, there are definitely some parallels to be drawn, and right now through this opening salvo, we can kind of see, I imagine, where the players are going to hover around in terms of their relative accuracy. Iran around that 99.7 mark, 99.6, maybe pick up a couple 200s here and there, but Nep, I mean, yeah, 99.96, that tracks. It's a percentage you would come to expect from the #1 seed in this tournament right now.
Yeah, especially with how early this round is. I mean,
Yeah.
what do you expect? I mean, it's not like yran's putting up a bad fight either. They're still doing pretty well.
Yeah, no, by any stretch, by no stretch of the imagination am I saying that Iran's doing anything incorrect. I mean, an FC is more than what you can ask for in a situation like this, putting your best foot forward. But in terms of overall accuracy, the level of comfort that the two are displaying, there's just a step between the two of them, at least in this opening pick. There's still about a quarter of the map left to go here, and anything can still happen. An unfortunate miss could swing the tide, and Iran's in that position where they could potentially capitalize on something like that. And I feel like that might be the game plan for them moving through the rest of this match. Just be in the conversation to pick up any little scraps that Nep might leave behind in terms of just little brain farts here and there, because that's really what it might just boil down to when all is said and done. A 998k 75. All right. Yeah.
How do you even do this?
I mean, yeah. What more can you expect? I mean, a 988k in a lot of contexts would be good enough. A 6-200 run, very admirable. 400 300s. I mean, that's a normal human score.
Yeah,
in this tournament.
Especially with like this pick in specific being probably like one of the harder picks to hold good accuracy on in terms of like the density, which is like that kind of like pseudo coordination, that broken up density.
Yeah, not wasting any time, just going straight for wildcard 3. I think they have the maps that kind of like a roadmap of like, okay, I'm just gonna pick this, gonna go into that, gonna go into that if I need to, and just kind of play it by ear from there. Just probably just favorites or comfortable down the list.
Yeah, I think this could make sense too. I mean, we saw with like density 3, it's not like that like continuous density strain that you usually see. It's like kind of broken up with like some like accuracy components, and this one, it is a wild card, but it does have like a little bit of that kind of like density bias, which I guess you could connect it a little bit to density 3.
Potentially, yeah. So we'll have to see how the players do here. I imagine for the entirety of this match, a miss is effectively run over, point conceded. But you never know. There's plenty of room. The match has only just started. See if Iran can get that point back, or if Nep can consolidate that early break point.
Yeah, I mean, I think consistency is definitely going to be the name of the game when it comes to like these matches, especially like as we continue to go on and these pools get a little bit harder. I mean, with qualifiers, you get 2 attempts. If you mess up the first time, you get that second try, and who knows, maybe you PB by a long shot, maybe your first score is still your better one.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, right now, 1 attempt, pretty good opening score to rest on, but we're kind of settling back into that same groove of there's just that overall ceiling that the players are hovering at, where, I mean, Nep's essentially close to 100%. There's really not much you can do against that unless they find a miss somewhere in this map. There's still 2/3 left to go here, so again, only a 3,000 point advantage when all is said and done. This is still a really good run on the other side. It's just, where are you going to find that extra 2-3% to match what you're going up against?
Yeah, especially just because like we're in an LN tournament. It's a lot harder to hold like good accuracy within an LN tournament, and I would say within like most tournaments, just regardless of like the context, a 990 is already just really good. But when you have to like pile up 990s over 990s in like this setting, it is so hard just to stay that consistent, and it's understandable to see why we see like a little bit of trouble coming from yran's side.
Yeah, and I mean, to put it even more so to that point, it's like trouble picking up 200s. Literally, that's the bar in this tournament that we're seeing, where it's like literally everybody can, the top players in this tournament can V1 at double S literally everything under the sun until maybe what, like semifinals, finals. I feel like that might be the point where we start seeing like actual misses from some of the top seeds, it feels like. Unless they just find like a hiccup somewhere, like something out of their control happens. But for right now, I mean, again, similar showing to Density 3, where it's just two FCs, and to the nature of an LN map, sometimes just being betrayed by the releases, not being at the absolute pristine millimeter Rainbow 300 points that you need them to be at.
Yeah, especially just because like you have to put so much concentration, especially on a pick like this one where you have like one Ellen being held and then you have another release happening at the same time, and then when you have to jump them all up together, it just becomes a lot harder to like control that aspect, and it's easy to lose concentration or even just focus way too much on these like releases.
Yeah, absolutely. 82. All right. All right. Yeah. Yeah. What do? You just you just
100 away.
you just tip your cap to your opponent and being like, all right, yeah, I FC'd it. I got a pretty respectable ratio. You nearly 1 milled it. All right. Hey, you just keep going.
I mean, I guess the good thing, at least on Iran's side, is that they're able to stay consistent in terms of that combo. I'm
Yes.
guessing maybe this is probably like one that they struggle a little bit more in terms of the act, considering they did perform a little bit better on Density 3.
Yeah, I feel like it would be a lot more concerning if they were spiking misses on these picks. That'd be a little concerning. And to be fair, I mean, one would say, like, if you want to look on the bright side, this is the hardest matchup you could possibly get round one.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any harder than this. So if you can put up a decent showing, respectable showing, just be like, okay, I literally FC'd everything, got a couple of 200s here and there, even on my worst maps, I got pretty solid scores. I mean, that can be considered a victory in some senses. But gonna go into Density 1, gonna exhaust the density picks in the pool. Clearly a comfort pick, a comfort style for Iran here as we move on to this third map of this best of 9.
Yeah, staying in that density range, which I think makes sense considering that they performed really well on the first density pick, which it isn't as hard as that one, so they do get a little bit of that kind of breathing room to hold a little bit better accuracy.
Yeah, right now actually needing to play a bit of a catch-up game through this introduction, finding some late releases on some of those impact chords. And I feel like the staggered releases might be their undoing as this map progresses if they don't lock in soon enough. But for right now, kind of stabilizing back to their relative comfort range, 99.6, 99.7, in and around there. And again, I mean, just putting yourself in a position to potentially capitalize on a mistake from your opponent, where if you feel like you're being overmatched, overwhelmed by the scores that they're putting out, I mean, just be in the conversation during the map. Better to lose on an FC run than think what if you do find a miss. So halfway through the map, still looking pretty good. I mean, Nep just in cruise control at the moment.
Yeah, and especially just because like this density pick is a little bit on the harder side to act as well. It's harder to act in a different way compared to Density 3, where you have like a lot of kind of broken up patterns. This one has like a bit of a heavy kind of coordination aspect. I mean, we did see like some inverse like early on, and like these staggered releases, as you mentioned, making it just a little bit harder, adding a little bit of that finger control aspect in a density pick, which isn't too usual.
Yeah, you're not really allowed to cheat on those releases to get to the other notes that you need to hit. You're constantly inundated with something to do. So trying to clip those off, again, just paying those little hundredths of a percent here and there, just halting any progression to climb back up in terms of accuracy, really just being the difference. It's the difference between somebody that's proficient and somebody that essentially mastered this level of LN gameplay. We're seeing that on display here as the last couple of notes begin to rain down here. It's essentially trying to take a chip out of a brick wall, and Nep is effectively one of the sturdiest brick walls you can run up against. Finally, a run that has a triple-digit 300 count from them, and another very solid performance from Iran as Net picks up their third point in this match.
Yeah, getting a little bit of over a 5-to-1 ratio, which is pretty good when it comes to like LNs, especially like on the slower side, since it might be a little bit easier to kind of like brute force your way to getting like high accuracies on faster LNs was just the aspect of not having to hold that release as long, or when we kind of get that introduction of mini LNs slowly going on. So it's definitely a good effort for them, but we will be going into Tech 2.
Yeah, probably one of the you see 2L and you just immediately think of all the awkward polyrhythmic structures found throughout their music. This is essentially that in a LN package, and this will be the first real dive away from, dare I say, conventional LN styling. This might be the first real test of Iran's metal in terms of these other styles of LN charts. If they do well on this, I think their prospects of maybe causing some upsets in later rounds really does increase.
Yeah, especially just because they're seed 64, so basically the only thing they can do is hold upsets, but I think this one's a very good introduction to see how they'll deal with some other stuff. Just because, like you said, there's like some pretty weird snappings within this song, and combining that with Ellen's, just you have to focus on so many different things at the same time. You have to focus on, is it 1/3? Is it 1/4? Do I have to release at the same time, or are they different releases?
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how the players hold up on this pick. It is Nep's Protect, so you imagine they're more than willing to go into and face this particular challenge. It's just a matter of if Iran can keep up. And so far, I mean, putting up a pretty decent fight, but you're gonna have to wait and see. You never know. Once again, anything can happen on picks like this.
Yeah, this one's also like particularly challenging just because like you have these like shields which get embedded within this pick, and you also have that kind of like control aspect which you would expect more within a coordination pick, such as this part where it's basically 3 notes that you're having to deal with that one on the side, making it just a lot more finger control heavy.
Yeah, the tendency to want to let go of those long anchors just that little bit earlier than it's supposed to, or just halfway through a sequence. It's very easy to just lose control in moments like that. But I mean, once again, I mean, very little going wrong in terms of overall performance. We have yet to see a miss from either of these two players, just separated by accuracy alone. And with a quarter of the map left to go here, I mean, stop me if you've heard this one before, it's still 0.3%. Both players operating near max efficiency for their own standards. And it's just the difference in refinement of how accurate you can be on these style of picks. And as this one comes to an end, Nep going to make it a match point situation right out of the gate here. I imagine to a lot of people, maybe unsurprisingly, but maybe surprised by how close the scores are in the grand scheme of things, as it is now 4-0, 81 300s.
My gosh.
Mm-mm.
This is Ellen.
It's a incredible level of consistency being put on display. One for accuracy sharpshooting, the other for being able to get FCs on literally all of these maps.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen some players already missing with like some other matches. So being
Yeah,
able to still hold that consistency throughout this entire match so far, that's something to be afraid of.
absolutely. And gonna go for wildcard 1 here. Potential last pick in this match, unless Iran has something to say about it, but it's felt like Nep has had all the answers so far. Like, I mean, this pool is easy enough that I imagine this I mean, they could probably be playing these for the first time. A lot of these maps have been around long enough that they've probably stumbled across them before, played them before, but it's... I don't want to say a walk in the park. It feels mean to say it, but it's... I mean, what more do you expect from the number one seed in this tournament?
Yeah,
They're
absolutely.
making it look easy.
Yeah, I mean, potentially this could be a pick where maybe we see a switch up. I mean, I would say this plays a bit similarly to our second qualifier, which was the best qualifier from yran at least. They placed the highest on this one, with behind that just being the density picks. But we already saw how the density picks went. They're all gone by now. This is probably the best bet that they can really go for, especially it being their protect as well.
Yeah. And, I mean, right out of the gate here, this is the strongest start that yran has had to a map in this match so far. We've seen them in that like 99.5, 99.6 range. No, they're only a 10th behind on this particular pick. And again, just being in that position, a couple of 200s coming through here as we transition into the next portion of the map. If they can kind of keep those to a minimum, can't really afford to give away too many more of those. I mean, maybe, just maybe, there's something in there.
Yeah, they do seem to be releasing a little bit early, which I guess maybe it could be due to like some of these like grace notes from like the rice notes, which can make it like a little bit awkward when like trying to release some of these, or even like some of the shields that we see every now and then.
Yeah, just not giving them the length that they deserve at certain points. It's those little details that's really all we're nitpicking at right now. It's like there's just little moments in these maps that make a world of difference in terms of overall performance. And I mean, you go 4 for 4 on FCs with only a couple of 200s. I guess to touch on the fact that it would be concerning if they were missing, the fact that they're keeping that 200 count so low. I think the only one that they really had a stumbling point on was Wildcard 3, where we saw like maybe 100 and a double-digit count of 200s. That's it. That's the only real blemish that they've had in this entire match, outside of 4 FCs with really low 200 counts. It's just on the other side, you have somebody that's literally V1SSing with double-digit 300 counts on every single map on demand.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a feat to be impressed by. I mean, they're definitely showing some capabilities of having at least a decent amount of LN fundamentals, and it's clear through their accuracy. I mean, they've qualified already. That's already a statement in terms of how good they are within LN.
Yeah.
And this pick also shining just a little bit. It seemed like they did drop a little bit in like that kind of middle section, probably like the main KI, but they're able to bring it back up, and this being probably the closest we've seen in terms of differences between these two, I think.
Yeah, I mean, 6 200s there. I think that is their first 990k score, being able to stay above that 99.7 mark. And I mean, once again, it's just running into a brick wall on the first round. It doesn't get any harder than this, and those are some really competitive scores from yran. I'm very excited to see how they do next round, because it only gets easier from here for them. Meanwhile, the road for Nep's gonna get harder and harder as they get more and more people closer to their seed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've seen some pretty stellar performances coming from like these lower seeds, which maybe some people might not expect completely, but I think the scores we've seen from yran have been very impressive. Like you said, very competitive. I'm excited to see how they do in the losers bracket.
Absolutely. And I mean, congratulations to Nep just putting on a clinic. This is just a normal day in the office for them, it feels like. Just show up, all right, cool, play these maps, go on with the rest of their day. I feel like it's been a long day for them. I can only imagine going from tiebreaker against China earlier in the day to this. It's like, oh, all right, cool. Something relaxing, as relaxing as a tournament match can get. But that will do it for this match. We'll take another pretty lengthy break. We'll be back Oh, actually, this is the last Saturday match. We're going to move on to the Sunday block of matches at 0 UTC. So right on the dot will be our next match. It'll be Minwoo 3098, another participant of that crazy tiebreaker in the World Cup versus Shadow GM. So nice US versus Mexico showdown. And I think you'll be on the call for that one with Sunny, if if I'm reading this correctly. So definitely don't want to miss that. There's still plenty more round of 64 actions. No, you got anything else left to add here?
Not really. I mean, I'm excited to see this next match. I mean, I've seen Shadow. I think some people might be familiar with them. They have been within a lot of tournaments. Maybe not as of recently, but they do have a little bit of history. So it's going to be interesting to see someone who maybe doesn't have as much of a history against someone who does have a decent amount of history.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely stick around for that. But until then, we'll catch you guys later.
See ya. Thank you, Epsilon, for streaming.